Maintaining harmony in all of your relationships. In Focus welcomes back to the program from the Vedanta Cultural Foundation USA, Gautam Jain. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Mike.
Could you just go over the ancient wisdom of Vedanta?
Well, see, this ancient wisdom talks about the basic fact of living, which is that it is not the world that can distress you, but how you relate to it. So Veda means knowledge and Anta means end. So this ancient wisdom means Vedanta, which means the end of knowledge, the culmination of knowledge.
And so when we apply that to relationships, it's really looking at not the person that is bothering you or distresses you. You kind of look at it how you relate to it.
Yes. See, the fundamental principle of successful life management is exactly what you said. Each person starts at the wrong end because they believe that it is the person, it's the weather, it's the traffic. Nobody says, what is wrong with me that I'm not able to relate to the person? See, I'll give a simple example. One person takes a cigarette and smokes. He says it gives him pleasure. Another person hates it. So it's not the cigarette, it's how you relate. So if the cigarette had pleasure inherent in it, everybody should get it. Now one person wants to divorce his wife, right? Another person wants to marry that same woman. So it's not the person. It's how you relate to that person. So what a person needs to learn, that's what I was talking about last night when I was lecturing in the city, is you need to learn how to relate to the world. And that's what, if you start that process, you're well on your way to handling a relationship.
And with relationships, it's whether you're married, you're living with a roommate or work coworkers, it's important to assess the relationship too, right?
Yes.
Explain that.
See, the problem is we don't use our intellect in the relationship. We impulsively function on the mind. See, the mind is nothing but emotions, feelings, impulses. Now, it has no direction or dimension. It can demand anything. You have to use your intellect to understand and analyze the situation. See, for example, a person craves for a sweet. He's severely diabetic and the doctor has said no more sugar. You're going to be in the hospital. So his mind, his emotion, he craves for it. If his intellect is not strong enough, he'll still eat it and suffer. So the same thing is happening in our relationships. We just function on the mind with no thinking and our relationships break down. So what I mean is, when we talk about the intellect, you talked about assessment, is a person has a particular nature. You have your co-workers, you have your spouses, you have your children. Each of them has a distinct nature. See, just as the nature of New York is it's bitterly cold in the winter, it's hot in the summer. That's the nature. You have to assess it. Now people are constantly complaining. I'm here in California, it's not that much of a complaint. I'm going back to New York tomorrow and that's all I'm going to hear. It's so cold, it's so cold. So there's no assessment at all.
What about relationships you say must be based on love, not attachment?
See, the difference between love and attachment is simple. Love plus selfishness equals attachment. So love, when it is removed, when you remove the selfishness from your attachment, it becomes pure love. See, for example, now I'm being interviewed by you and you give me a feedback. I got a feedback from my listeners that this interview was horrible, they didn't learn anything. And I go back to New York and tell my folks there, Santa Barbara in the city is useless. They don't know what they're... See, this is attachment. So my feeling for you and for your city is totally dependent on what you are doing for me. Now that's not love, that's selfishness. So I'm only loving myself. So the problem in relationships today, or in fact whenever there's a problem, is the whole relationship is based on attachment. There's no real love. So it all depends upon what the person is doing for you. and that's what destroys a relationship.
Before we go further, we want to put up some information. Vedanta Cultural Foundation USA, vedantausa.org for the information. You got a couple books. Quickly to tell us about that, about 30 seconds.
Yeah, we've been talking about the development of the intellect as essential. So my teacher, after about 40 years of research, has written this book. It's called The Fall of the Human Intellect. So to start off, I would really recommend anybody who's interested in developing this capacity to think must use this book because it contains the material to help you get started. That's about it.
Well, thank you so much. I know you're continuing the whole tour around California. Good luck, and then nice travels back to New York.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, well, we have run out of time for tonight. Thank you for watching In Focus. We'll see you next time.